TPT doesn't work, at least not anymore. How many times have I heard that? You've probably heard it. People have told me that. I've read that. People have told me other people have told them that. And you may think I'm always trying to encourage them and say, oh, yes, yes, it works. It's wonderful. It's a great opportunity. Well, you'd be wrong because TPT doesn't work. You do. Hello, everyone. My name is Sherry from Rolling Acres Education. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if this is not your first time. And when the rankings came out for the first time, I think they came out for the first time in January of 2024, which would have been for December of 2023, people were both very encouraged and very discouraged. They were encouraged because they were shocked at how high they actually ranked in TPT, that they were in the top 1 or 2%, 3, maybe even as high as 5% was, a lot more than what they were expecting. And one woman told me that she was in the top 25%. She was in the 75th percentile, and she made $30. And so people were like, wow, I didn't realize that there were so few people really making money on TPT. And they began to get discouraged because they were like, well, only like 1 or 2% even make four figures a month, and only a very small percent, less than 1%, make like a really livable income. And while that could seem discouraging, it's really not. And I think that there's a lot of accuracy. And someone had a chart that kind of showed, like, the top 1% of 1% makes like really big money. The top 1% makes, around 3,000 to 4,000 and above, which is, I'm in the top 1%, and I haven't made below 3,000 in a while. If you take out June and July, and usually make around 4,000, and made as high as 5,000 or 6,000. So it seemed to kind of fit with me, at least, and so I'm assuming that it, is pretty accurate. And so that you may think, well, that's just discouraging because just so few people, make that money. But if you look at it the right way, it can be very encouraging. So I have a mindset that I want you to grab a hold of that could really change the way you approach your TPT business and really start it to really grow and produce for you. And that is for you to realize that it is not the job of your TPT store or even the TPT platform to make you successful. It's your job to make your store successful. Let me repeat that. It is not the job of TPT or your TPT store to make you successful. It's your job to make your store successful. And when you really grab a hold of that, you can really change the way you approach your business. And I'm not going to go into deep detail on that because that is a whole nother video. But I want you to start thinking like that. Because if you look at that survey, you can get discouraged. But there was also a survey that came out, I guess it's been a couple of years ago. It wasn't too long after I started doing YouTube videos that asked TPT sellers a lot of questions. There was a lot of information in there, but I want to focus on one specific part. And it was when they asked people how many hours per week they put into their store. Guys, guess what? Less than 2% of people work full-time on their store. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a little more. And the majority of people said they worked less than 5 hours a week on their store. And if you add the people who said they worked 5 to 10 hours a week on their store, you had a huge amount of TPT sellers. And there's nothing wrong with that. Let me make something clear right here. I am not out to judge anybody or condemn anybody because that could seriously be all you have. When I first started on this, you know my story, most of you, with Emma, and I had so much going on with her, I could only work a few hours a week on my store. And even then, it was at the beginning, and it was just, a lot of it was just listening to videos. So I'm not condemning you. I'm not condemning you or saying, oh, look, you lazy thing, you don't put any time into your store. That's not where I'm coming from. I'm just saying that we just need to realize that what we put in to the store is what we're going to get out. Now, are there people who jump in and start making a bunch of money right away? Yes. But for the vast majority of people, it's a slow burn. And the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out until it starts to flip. And after you get to a certain point, then you can start working less hours and making more money. But in the beginning, you're going to have to put the time in. And so I try really hard not to down other TPT people in the TPT world that are trying to help others, but sometimes I get so discouraged when I hear them be like, hey, you just, not a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. And that's probably true, but you have to match it up with how much time people are putting in. And when you have one survey saying that, a lot of people put less than 5 hours in the store, and the vast majority put less than 10, then you're going to get the other results that very few people make the big bucks. And that's fine, because you may not be in this to make the big bucks, but also if you just stick with it consistently, it will start to happen. So I just really wanted to use this time to encourage you to, first of all, realize that it's your job to make your store successful. And if you want to do that, you're going to have to find ways to make time if it's a priority. Now, when I started, my priority was Emma. Okay, my priority was keeping her out of the hospital, getting her to her interventions, and doing everything I could to give her as normal a life as possible. And my TPT store was second, well, maybe even more than second, but the point is, I just didn't have the time. But as things started to improve with her, and her dad was able to help me out more, and he started getting, to where he could take them back, then I was able to put more time in my store, and things began to happen. So don't be discouraged by the fact that only a small amount of people make money. You can be that person. There's no reason why I should be that person. There really isn't. I mean, I've shared this before, and I'm not going to go over and over it again, but the skills weren't there. The knowledge wasn't there. It was all about desperation. I had to make this work. So, number one, realize it's your responsibility. If you have the mindset of, I'm going to take responsibility for this, now that doesn't mean that you're not going to complain sometimes. That's not going to mean even that you couldn't reach out to TPT and say, hey, look, I just wonder if you could check into this because this doesn't seem to be working, because that's happened and things have changed. The whole personal search thing that went away, and they were going to, there's just several other things that they've done that went back to the way it was originally. So I'm not saying that you can't reach out and you can't make your voice heard, but don't sit back and think, well, TPT's just out to get me, this doesn't work and I can't do anything about it. No, figure it out. Figure out how to make it work. Number two, realize that you get out what you put in, and you need to find a way to, you need to make time, and you need to find a way to make that time as purposeful as possible. And I have more information for that coming up, and I'm real excited to share some of that with you. And then just don't worry about what other people do, what's happening with other people. Just do what works for you and put your time in and worry about your business. Don't compare yourself to others, because there's all kinds of things that go along with TPT. It's not like everybody that puts in this much time is going to get this much out, or everybody that does it this way is going to do this, or whatever. There are so many factors involved in your success. But I want you to know, this is what I want you to know, okay? I'm talking to people who really want this to work, okay? I mean, you are like, this is it. I love it. This, like I was, like, I love TPT. I love creating these resources. I love the flexibility. I love just the possibility of passive income. There's just so much about this I love. I want to make this work. I'm going to make this work. And that is why it worked for me. And that is why it will work for you. Okay? So just be encouraged and not discouraged. And remember that you've got this. God's got you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.